Hi everyone, hope you are feeling positive and healthy. Please subscribe with all bell notifications if you haven't already, and please don't hesitate to leave your valuable feedback and advice below. Thank you very much. Let's jump into the stories. Would I be the unreasonable one for asking to pause my engagement after finding out my partner's financial situation? I have been struggling how to put this problem into words without making it sound like a stupid first world problem, and I just don't know anymore, so here it goes. I've been dating this great guy for 6 years. He is a single father to 3 amazing girls. His first wife died several years ago. Before the world went to trash, he took me out to a very fancy dinner and asked me to marry him. The girls then came out and asked me to be their mom, and they all presented me with an amazing ring he told me was a family ring. I said yes. Shortly after, they all went back out west to help his parents settle some things with the family company. They recently came back, finished their isolation and got tested to be safe. And he came to see me, as just said that he wanted to talk. Well, he dropped a bombshell that what I thought was a small family company is actually a $1 million tech company. I was shocked. He never acted or looked rich. He and the girls live in a nice standard family home for the area and wear nice clothing. But it's not like I have ever seen him / the girls / items in his house that would be considered luxury brands. When we went out, we would always sneak snacks into movies, pack a lunch bags to go, split bills, fly economic, etc. He said he never told me because he wanted to find love again with someone that cared about him and his girls, not his money. He then went on about how the trip back was really to set up the main house for us. I had already planned on moving with him once we got married, so that was not the problem. But now he tells me I can be a housewife and just do whatever I want to be happy. I still love him, but I feel like now there is so much I don't know about him, and I wanted to just put a pause in the engagement and get to know him again. I told this to my friends and they all say I WBTA if I did so, cause then I'm confirming his fear that money would play a role in our relationship and that I should understand why he lied. He and the girls are already in full wedding planning mode and I don't want to hurt them, especially the girls, as they have already lost so much. My friends tell me I should just move forward, and if that, even asking them to wait would make me a monster, since they all clearly love me and I love them. So would I be the unreasonable one if I ask to slow things down? I still want to be with him, but I feel like I need to get to know this part of him too. But everyone around me is saying to just go forward as normal, as to not rock the boat, but this feels anything but normal. Also, I've lost parts as I kept trying to put this all into words, so to respond to many questions. He does not expect me to be a housewife, but I can if I want. I love my job, but we have talked about it before that working does not leave me with much time to do the other things I enjoy. He says he just wants me to be happy, so if that means I don't work and can do, for example, more volunteer work, then he had no problem with that and will fully support me. Also, people say a $1 million company is not that much in perspective. Truth is, I don't really know. Still, he showed me the net worth and stock info for the company / family / him. But I don't understand it all. When he explained it again to me, he said that if he lost $1 million walking down a street, he would not even bother looking for it. So while I say million, I still don't really know or understand, but that's just another problem I'm having right now. Nah, he has good reasons for hiding his wealth, as it can attract the wrong sort of people. Nah, both sides of this story are understandable. He's lost his wife, the girls have lost their mom, and he wanted to be cautious about new love. You have just had a bombshell dropped, a good one, for sure, but needing to take a minute to absorb all of this isn't unreasonable. The girls being so excited warms my heart to no end. They must really love you a lot. Maybe talk to your fiancé and explain the shock of this, and the need to breathe a bit, and then sit down with those 3 little cuties and talk about how you are going to wait for a bit. They love you. It'll be okay. ETA, I think you will find very soon that there is no other part of him to know. He's still him, just with deeper pockets. He has 3 little ladies to protect, and he did what he felt he needed to in order to make sure they stay safe and loved. Aita For yelling at my wife and stepdaughter. My 8-year-old son has muscular dystrophy. He was diagnosed at 5 years of age. My ex-wife and I noticed something was seriously wrong when he struggled with a delay in walking, difficulty rising from his seat, bending and picking up stuff. The news was absolutely devastating. My ex-wife couldn't accept how everything we had planned for our son's future came crashing down. She thought I had more courage to deal with his illness, so she left, probably wanting to forget about us and start over. I got married to my wife a year ago. My stepdaughter is a very loud and picky kid. She's 12. She had laid her eyes on my son's room and wanted to take it. We've talked about it since. She seems to be hating me and holding a grudge for this very reason. I told her no, her room is upstairs, it's smaller. but I needed the bigger room to provide my son with space to move freely. Last week, she brought it up again and said she wanted to switch rooms because her friend said it was not cool and girly and she wanted space to put her girly stuff. I explained that my son doesn't have the ability to go up and down stairs with a wheelchair. My wife said that I should get one of those electric climbing wheelchairs. I told her yes, I might be considering this in the future, but I wasn't going to burden my son with the trouble of climbing up and down stairs before I get him a better wheelchair once I've saved up for it. My stepdaughter started crying. My wife sided with her and lashed out after I refused, saying her daughter's mental health matters and that I was being unfair with treating kids differently. I lost it. I started yelling at them both and telling them they were selfish for asking me this. My wife yelled back and said she wanted to take her daughter and go stay with her folks till I make this right and be fair to them. Not the unreasonable one. Your stepdaughter is a child and will hopefully grow up to realize how much of an a-hole she's being. Your wife is a full-grown adult and should know better. If she can't recognize why your son's needs far outweigh her daughter's need for a bigger room, then consider throwing away the whole wife. Not the unreasonable one, of course, but why not offer to change your stepdaughter's room to something more girly if that's the problem? Regardless, wanting to make your son go up and downstairs with a wheelchair just because her room is smaller is ridiculous, but since your wife sided with her, I guess we know where this is coming from. Am I the unreasonable one for telling my wife that I blame her for the fact my mom won't visit? My mother decided she doesn't want to visit us for the foreseeable future. We live in an area where there are no hotels and the closest hotel is about an hour drive. My wife is very rigid about the house rules. We are vegan and my mom is fine eating vegetarian if she visits, but can't deal with the veganism. My wife won't compromise at all, won't let her buy her own food, or have dairy in the house at all. My mom makes excuses to go out and I know she is going to eat out of the house. And then my wife gets offended and acts like my mom is a horrible guest. If my mom doesn't sneak out to eat, she ends up pale and dizzy and my wife thinks she is throwing a fit. My wife also doesn't cook, so we eat a lot of frozen meat substitutes and my mom refuses to eat them because she thinks they are gross and loaded with sodium. They are, so my mom eats like lettuce and rice and then my wife doesn't believe her when she feels weak and dizzy. She tries to control what my mom can wear. My mom lives a very different lifestyle than us. She is much more career-driven and materialistic, but she doesn't criticize us. My wife literally asked my mom not to carry a Louis Vuitton bag in front of the kids because she doesn't like the message it sends. She criticizes my mom for putting makeup on, and my personal favorite, she went in my mom's room while she was sleeping, not on purpose, but our 2-year-old ran in because the lock doesn't work and she had to grab him, and criticized my mom for sleeping in a sports bra. She fought with my mom about if my mom has body issues and wouldn't listen to her explanation that she has implants and the bra helps with alignment or something. The last straw was when my mom came with her fiancé. My wife implied they have a sad relationship because my mom has a diamond ring and if they really loved each other she wouldn't need a diamond. She treated the guy like a creep and got mad because he was left alone in the living room with the kids literally for the 3 minutes it took my mom to go to the bathroom. He isn't creepy or abusive or anything. I forget what it is called, but my mom's fiancé has some issue that causes vertigo and has to eat low sodium. My mom said they were going out to dinner because the only food we have would make him sick. My wife told my mom she was being rude and that they better not go out to dinner. Well, they took their stuff and left. My mom says I'm welcome to visit her, but she isn't coming to our house for a while. I told my wife that I blame her and she said I had no right to say that, and I should put our nuclear family before my mom. Not the unreasonable one. You need to stand up to your wife because her behavior is unacceptable. She sounds toxic and controlling. Not the unreasonable one. Holy crap. Your wife sounds like an actual, living freaking nightmare. And BTW, she's killing you all slowly with her disgusting frozen fake meat flavored sodium sticks. I know this is a typical trope here, but I would really think twice about this marriage. She sounds extremely controlling and rude, like it's literally her way or the highway all the time, over everything. And while yes, your wife and children are supposed to be your priority, I'm pretty sure you didn't vow to blindly do whatever your wife wants at the expense of every other relationship you have. You guys sound isolated. My suggestion is to get away from her for a few days, by yourself or with the kids. Go take your mom up on her offer, or go visit a cousin, a sibling, a friend from the past. Hell, even just book a cabin by the beach somewhere and get some distance to really think about your relationship. Am I the unreasonable one for not changing my name? So this just happened and I'm not sure how I feel. My ex and I divorced 12 years ago. We have 2 children and share custody. We have a great couple-ending relationship and have had 0 issues with anything since our divorce. My ex met his now wife 5 years ago and we get along good as well. She is a good stepmom to my children and she treats them like they are her own. I have remained single by choice because I spend most of my time at work or with my children. I date occasionally, but I am not looking for anything serious. My ex and his wife were married 2 weeks ago and I am very happy for both of them. I think it's great that they finally made it official and that they found happiness with each other. Tonight my ex's wife texted me the following. So I think now that me and X are married you should change your name. After all there can be only one Mrs. X's last name. Smiley emoji. Me. Hi. Wife's name. I hope you are both doing well. I'm a little confused as to why I would need to change my name. Because we are married now and I'm his wife. I should be the only one with his last name. Me. X and I have not been married for over 12 years. The reason I did not change my name is due to all my professional certifications and licenses. X and I agreed when we got divorced that it was too much of a hassle to change everything and I would keep my last name the same to avoid the stress and headache of having to do that. Well, that changes now. You will change your name immediately. I didn't respond to the last text she sent and after about 10 minutes my ex called me and demanded to know why I upset her. I sent him screenshots of the texts and my replies and told him that this entire conversation is ridiculous and immature. He told me that maybe I should just change my name so he doesn't have to deal with the drama. I told him I refuse. I said that again we agreed during the divorce I wouldn't change my name, and even if I wanted to, most of the state offices and courts are closed where we live and it would be near impossible to do. I told my ex that we haven't been married for 12 years, I have zero romantic feelings for him and that the only reason I have maintained a relationship with him is because of our children. I told him that they are our priority and we need to all get along to raise them as good co-parents. I told him that changing my name won't make me any less my kid's mother or his ex-wife and that unfortunately new wife needs to deal with it. He told me I was making his life difficult and wishes I would reconsider. Am I the unreasonable one for not wanting to change my name? Update. Thank you all for the overwhelming support. It truly means a lot. I thought maybe I was being unreasonable, but I see now that this is very common. My children and I all have the same last name and that is again a reason I don't want to change it. While our oldest no longer lives at home, he's in the army. My youngest and I make frequent trips overseas to visit him whenever possible. So having the same name on our passports is easier. I also looked into the time and cost to do the name change last night. I would have to have a formal court hearing with a judge and have a signed and sealed decree to change it at DMV and Social Security. The courts here are closed due to obvious reasons and are only hearing emergent matters. So my name change would be delayed. Not to mention the cost of this will be in the thousands and that includes the reprinting of all my degrees and certifications, new office letterheads, business cards, updating to the state list for my profession and my malpractice insurance. This will not be an easy process. I think I am going to address this with my ex-husband in a few weeks when all parties have had a chance to calm down and reflect a little. I think that there may be some underlying issue at play. And for those who asked, the reason for the divorce was infidelity on his part. I was working 2 jobs and putting myself through school and he felt ignored. So he decided to cheat and I decided to get rid of 250 pounds of dead weight. Smiley face. No, tell her to F off, smiley face. Oh goodness me, he told me I was making his life difficult and wishes I would reconsider. If this is his response to an unreasonable, unexpected, and irrational demand from his new partner, they're in for some rocky roads. Not the unreasonable one. Am I the unreasonable one for getting mad at my stepsister for wearing my wife's lingerie? Throwaway. My stepsister, 19. Recently got kicked out of my parents' house for a multitude of reasons. I offered to take her in until she found her own place and could support herself. Recently, my sister has been dealing with a lot of self-image issues. She complains about her weight, constantly comparing herself to supermodels, and generally tends to have a negative view of herself. My wife always reassures and tries to help her be comfortable in herself and her body. My wife is very gentle and kind with her words, so she's always there for my sister when she starts talking about her struggles with herself. My wife is patient, always reminding her that she's good enough. My sister then began to compare herself to my wife. My wife used to model and her body still reflects that lifestyle. It doesn't help that my wife prefers to always dress up and put way more effort when she's not going to work. At first, when this started happening, my wife tried to brush it off with a laugh and throw a compliment back at my sister. However, my sister's comparisons were getting more specific. A few examples include my sister comparing the length of my wife's middle finger to hers and my sister comparing my wife's eye color in the sun to hers. They both have brown eyes. My wife told me that she was beginning to feel uncomfortable around my sister. but she didn't want to be very rude or risk the situation escalating further. She has suggested therapy or psychiatric help to my sister, subtly, multiple times, but she doesn't acknowledge the suggestion or treats it like a lighthearted subject. My wife mostly works from home, and I don't. This means that my wife is the one who hears my sister constantly shame herself. I had a terrible headache that forced me to come home to lie down and relax. My wife had texted me almost an hour before I left that she was visiting her friend and was going to come home later than usual. I didn't mind and just wanted to make a simple meal for myself. When I was in the kitchen, my sister walks into the room wearing lingerie that looks very familiar. I tried not to stare at her and I asked her once to put on a robe or something to cover up. Instead of responding to my question, she answers with something along the lines of, "Don't I look good in my wife's name, lingerie? I found it in her drawer." My wife let her borrow a nightgown for a night, and it's not like we lock our bedroom door or anything, so I was shocked when she said that. Maybe it was because I had a terrible headache, but I got really mad at my sister for wearing my wife's intimate clothing. I, admittedly, raised my voice at her and threatened to kick her out. My sister started to cry and locked herself in her room. When my wife found out what had happened, she gave my sister the lingerie because she was very creeped out by her behavior. My wife agrees that it was weird, but thought I went about it in the wrong way. Also, my sister did not have permission to wear my wife's lingerie. The nightgown comment was just to let you people know that my wife has lent my sister clothing before, especially intimate clothing before. Also, for clarification, my sister was kicked out from my parents' house for very bigoted reasons. The biggest one being that she came out to them as bisexual when they're extremely homophobic and she had an abortion which they weren't aware of. Update. My wife and I decided that we aren't going to kick her out. My wife and her had a long talk, it took literal hours, about boundaries, her mental health, and about life in general, as she thought that it would be easier for my sister to open up to her. My wife wouldn't go into specifics of their conversation because she doesn't want to breach her privacy, but my sister revealed a lot of messed up crap that she had to go through while living with my parents. My sister agreed to go therapy, on the condition that my wife attended. My wife agreed, and that's happening soon. My wife doesn't want to be my sister's emotional crutch, but she's been so amazing in trying to redirect my sister's attention onto something else. My sister is an amazing artist, so my wife wants to go buy a bunch of canvases etc. for her. We've also began locking our bedroom door and certain drawers in our house. It's a small start, but hopefully we are making progress. Not the unreasonable one. WTF. First of all, she stole your wife's clothing. Second of all, the clothing she stole was lingerie. Third of all, she asked her brother if she looked good in sexual clothing. She needs help, like yesterday. Triangular flag on post. Not the unreasonable one. It is creepy for sure. 1. To wear another woman's lingerie. 2. To ask you, her brother, what you think. She needs professional help, and though your wife is trying to be nice, it's not what she needs. Slight hints about getting help isn't enough. You need to sit her down and tell her what she did was inappropriate and that she needs to get professional help ASAP. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell for more stories delivered to you. Thanks for listening. See you later.